Hello and welcome to Trails, Tales and Fails. Today we have on somebody who is arguably one of the UK's toughest ultra runners, from multiple Centurion 100-mile podiums, the first place at the Centurion Winter Downs 200 in its first year in 2023, to a first and second place at the Arc 100. She's also a finisher of both the Spine Winter and Summer. And just 2 months after this year's Brutal Spine race, she landed third at the 2025 Northern Traverse. So we're diving into how Laura Swanton-Rouvelin prepares for huge efforts such as Spine and Northern Traverse, how she recovers and stays injury-free, and what keeps her going through the dark winter miles and wild terrain. Before you're enjoying the show, please give us a review and share it, as it really helps us grow. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Good morning. It is still morning, isn't it? Morning. How are you, Laura?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you all.
So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I'm going to jump straight in with our first question. Are you ready?
Okay, go for it.
Right. So we asked this as our little icebreaker at the start, and we've had such a variety of answers. So we are super looking forward to hearing your one. If you could have any celebrity run a leg of the spine with you, who are you picking and why?
I would have to pick someone that I like looking at first. So I immediately think of Chris Martin from Coldplay, because, I don't know his running ability. That's the only problem. But, he looks like he'd be quite a good runner.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'd look at him and that would cheer me up. And then he could sing to me, which would really cheer me up. There's a variety of songs, upbeat, sad, any emotion he could cover. That's
a great shout. A good combination there of talent and looks. Yeah,
exactly.
I think it depends on what leg, because if you're towards the end of the race, I think I could get a little bit emotional if I've got Coldplay lyrics being whispered into my ears. Soft lullaby.
Well, yes. Unless he does an upbeat one, like Adventure of a Lifetime, that could pick you up.
I don't know. I think it's just his voice. It just makes me sad. Is it such emotional lyrics?
Chris Martin's good, and I'm glad because I actually know who Chris Martin is. There have been some I've not actually known who they are, so I'm super glad I know.
You make a good point though. He does look like a runner as well, a little bit dishevelled.
Exactly. I think he'd fit in well on the scene, wouldn't he? Tall, lanky, runners.
And the other one is so what is your post-run indulgence or training treat that might surprise people? So what's like a go-to that's a bit of a little treat after a big run?
Gosh, I don't know that it would surprise people. I think people would probably be really bored by what I go for because I'm vegan, so everybody goes, oh. There's only vegan treats I can go for, but surprisingly, a custard donut is vegan. Ooh. So I would always indulge in a custard donut. In fact, I had one post Northern Traverse straight away. Good husband, big bag of custard donuts, but it's not particularly exciting or.
No, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Ali Bailey suggested jam donuts on the Arc as a sort of go-to, and they were absolutely spot on. So they're a new little. So custard donut sounds like a perfect treat.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Laura, I wondered if before we start getting into some of the questions about some of the big races you've done, if we go back to why ultra running.
Why? I think I was asking myself that a lot last weekend. I don't know. I think I got into running sort of shorter distances, like half marathons early on, and I sort of hit them, desperate to get a qualifying time for London. And it was only when I met my husband and he was training for the Arc. And I just thought, that's so weird. Like I to not worry about your time. When he was going out for a training run, it was like a 40-mile training run. That was the day after I met him. And I thought, how weird is that to go out for 40 miles, not look at your watch, not look at your, he wasn't concerned about his pace or anything like that. He was just going out for the adventure and to get some miles in his legs for the Arc. And that really excited me because I think for years I'd just been sort of slamming how fast can I go for half marathons, and to just take a step back and go for the adventure, look around you, get on the trails. I think that really started my interest and intrigue in ultras. And then, I went to see him at the Arc, and God, I couldn't believe this vibe, this whole new scene that I hadn't seen before. It's hard to explain, isn't it? There's just I'm not saying that people aren't out for you for the shorter distances, but I think because it's such a long period of time marshals, everybody's out there for a long stretch, aren't they? Supporting you and being there for you. It just felt so different. And then when I tried my first one, it was 100K on the Jurassic Coast. And God, I think I went through every emotion, and I thought, I'm never doing this again. And then I don't know, I think you come out of that, and it's that sort of coming out the other side, going to the deepest, darkest depths and thinking, this is horrendous, and then being able to pull yourself through and get out the other side. What you achieve and you look back on, there's nothing quite like it. So that's a long way of telling you why ultras.
How long ago was the Arc, you supporting your husband on the Arc? How long ago?
That was in 2017.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and then I did 100K for maybe a few months after that. So he totally got me with that.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it is very, very special. So we start off with the double race that you've just done then, which was the Winter Spine back in February, followed by the Northern Traverse, which was 2 weeks ago now?
No, so a week ago.
Oh, it was only a week ago. Can you sort of talk us through the back-to-back nature of those in terms of how your body and mind handled it? That's a hell of a amount of running to put your mind and body through in such a short period of time.
I was really unsure if it was a really stupid thing to do, to be honest. And I always say I blame Hannah Rickman because she did both of them at the same year, and I asked her how it was, and she absolutely smashed both of them as well. And I was like, is it doable? Was it okay? And she was like, it's hard, but yeah, it's doable. So I said to her, this is your fault. But I just thought, well, why not? I'd wanted to do the Northern Traverse for ages, and it just never quite fit. And I stupidly keep going back to the Spine. So I seem to always hit the Spine, and then I can't do the Northern Traverse. So I just thought, well, why not just give it a go and see? But I think my body was probably only, I'd say I was just starting to feel normal again, maybe a week, 2 weeks before the Northern Traverse. I wasn't quite as I should be. I went to see my physio maybe 10 days before, just with this sort of little knee thing. I just kept feeling this twinge. It was ever since the Spine. We weren't terribly worried about it, but when you're not on your A game. And I think more mentally, I realised during the race that it's more where you have to go to in your mind with these races, that I wasn't quite ready to go back there again. And I did, but I probably suffered more for it mentally, because I was just like, oh, here we go, we're going to those dark times. I'm sleep deprived. Yes, it's sleep deprivation. You know, when you've done it so recently, to then get yourself to go back to that. I knew it was my own fault. I decided to do it.
And that's two races with no crew and no paces. They're two big solo races, right?
Yes, and you do feel very. I think it was a lot less lonely on the Northern Traverse because you've got other races going on. That was really quite nice to have sort of the Lakes Traverse. So they start an hour before you, and so you start to catch people up, and then you're seeing quite a lot of people because you can be so alone, like on the spine, and because the checkpoints are so far apart. And again, with the Northern Traverse, checkpoints are closer together. So I think sort of every 20-ish miles. So that was quite nice. But yeah, and having those other races going on, I felt like I saw a lot more people. So that helped a lot. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, physically and mentally, I was not on my A game, and I probably banged on about that far too much during the race. So to anybody I saw and said that, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, one more question, then I'll start asking questions. What was the difference in distance of the two races? I know the Northern Traverse was 300 kilometres.
Yes, so I'm terrible at working in kilometres, so sorry, I'm going to say in miles. So
miles is the correct format.
Yes. That's what I think. Yeah. So I finished with about 185, 190 miles on the Northern Traverse, and the I was going to say the arc then. The spine is 268 miles.
Oh, so crikey.
Yeah. So 80, 90 miles difference, yeah.
So in terms of like the volume of running and training, what did that look like from finishing the spine where presumably... well, not presumably, most people would need to have quite a prolonged period off of doing any sort of running. Were you able to, because you're coached by Kim, aren't you?
Yes.
You were able to sort of have a conversation with him and for him to then say, actually, you've got that in the legs anyway, so we can really not need to do too much in that sort of 2-month period? Or was it like 2-3 weeks off and then back into some of the more high mileage? How did you structure it?
Well, Kim's a hard taskmaster. No, he is very understanding, and he wouldn't push me before I was ready. So he did. I like to have sort of 2-3 weeks after something like the spine. But actually, when I first did the spine, I was really my Achilles were dreadful. I had like terrible feet. So the first time I did it, it took me months, I'd say, to get back to proper running. So luckily with this one, I had about, I think it was 3 weeks, just under 3 weeks I had of no running. And I was actually getting to the point where I was like, I need to run. So that was a good sign. And Kim was just like, he always says, I'll put something in your plan now, but it's all easy. And if you don't feel up to it, don't do it. I'm not very good at that. If something's in my plan, I got to do it. I got to turn it green.
So familiar.
We are more similar, I think, than we realised.
Yeah.
Be red. It can't be red. I must complete till it's green.
I often say, how would you feel about maybe just doing a mile or two less, seeing as that you've already gone and done like an hour walk? She's like, no.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
No, it's just the same as me. So I've really, really tried not to actually look at training peaks, which is hard for me. But I just thought I'm just not going to look at it until I feel right. So I was very disciplined and didn't. So say 2.5 weeks. I went to see my physio, Jo Meek, who's amazing. And she was just like, try, Laura, try to just extend it a bit more. And she thought I was absolutely mad doing the two. So I started again. Yeah, it's about 3 weeks, and I felt all right. And it was then just a little gradual build, and I had I think 4 weeks of maybe 70 plus miles a week. So
Yeah, strong. It's a lot off the back of the spine. Amazing.
If you say that, I saw on Instagram, you probably saw as well. I think you did one or two which looked like awesome training weekends for spine with some of the other women.
Yes.
It looks like there was just so much excitement around the spine and all the women who'd entered. Like it was just going to be just an epic start line of female racers on the spine. Do you think in some ways then that shift mentally to then going and running the Northern Traverse was more difficult because of what you'd previously just done, and then sort of knowing that you're sort of tired and then going, right, okay, mindset shift, spine recovery, straight back into Northern Traverse?
Yes. Yeah, there was a massive buzz around the spine, and that weekend with the girls, it was just incredible to all get together, and a lot of us hadn't met before, some of us had, but for there to be no competition, no ego, just we were just all out there to have fun and recce the last 100 miles of the spine, and actually we're picking up tips off each other, which was so nice. And then it was for the Northern Traverse, then it was a bit like, oh no, we did actually, I was lucky enough to have another weekend with the girls just because we all wanted to get together again. So Robin Cassidy made a route, and we all went for a weekend again, which was so nice. And I was worried that I wouldn't be recovered for that, to be honest. And I was saying, I don't know if I'm going to keep up with everyone after the spine, but it was just so lovely. Nobody's trying to rush anyone or make anyone feel like they're too slow or anything like that. So I think that did help for Northern Traverse, because there were a couple of other people, Eloise Eccles and Kirsty Reed, who were doing the Northern Traverse as well. So it helped to give that bit of buzz for the Northern Traverse, but also a bit of, oh my goodness, am I going to actually be able to run this? But yeah. Oh well, yeah, went better than I hoped, but yeah, touch and go.
What's incredible is you obviously got a real thing for like 200 mile or around those 200 mile events. So like obviously Winter Downs 200, like multiple spine, now Northern Traverse. Has there been like a little bit of a shift in you and how you want to challenge your mindset and how you want to challenge yourself by doing these longer events? Like, what's the draw to doing the really long events?
I think it's the spine's fault, to be honest. That was something I looked at and it seemed really untouchable. It was something that when me and my husband met, we used to religiously watch the spine, and it was really exciting that week. And I always said, oh, I'd never be able to do that. Like, that's way beyond my ability. And then, I don't know, the more I did, the more I thought, well, maybe I could do that. And yeah, so having done that, then you're just like, the problem with the spine is it's such a great event. You always think, oh, but I learned so much that one. I could just go and have another go, knowing all I know. But then, unfortunately, the weather is different, or you'd never get the same. So you never really get to. You're not the same conditions to really give it to go. Oh, I've given that a good go now, so I'm done. Do you know what I mean? So, and then you try and find something else to. I think that's been my thing. Like I did the spine, and then I'm like, I loved how that felt, and the whole different side of the adventure and the different depths you go to. So then it's like finding another adventure that's similar, if you know what I mean. I think it's the spine opened a door to something I didn't think I was capable of. So now I want to explore that further. Yeah,
all of the time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I can really relate to that as well, because I think, I don't know about you guys, but like the 200 mile distance really just seems behind a closed door at the moment. For you, a 100 mile must just be like a park run now. Just pop today's 50. But yeah, really, I don't know. It's interesting to hear you say how you can just sort of break those down, you get those experiences, and then you're kind of looking for more and more as you approach these much longer races.
Yeah.
But during these races, so the Spine, Northern Traverse, I think I heard you talking in a podcast about a year ago. I can't remember which one it was now. I think you mentioned on the Spine, there's obviously just so many beautiful views, scenery, bits and pieces like that. What are during these runs like the things you're looking for that sort of specifically draw you back? Is it the views or the sort of feelings as you're going through these areas?
It's definitely like you some places you just would never see unless you did this sort of race. I feel it's such a privilege to be out there in these remote places, like say you wouldn't think to go to unless you were on that route in that race. So for me, the scenery has to be something pretty special. And gosh, the Northern Traverse, we were just spoilt so much with the weather. It was absolutely unbelievable every day, just stunning views, clear as anything, not a cloud in the sky. And, you can't ask for much more than that. And I remember, I really, really wish I'd taken a photo, but I just don't do that. And I just had this most magical sunrise. I just can't explain. If I'd taken a photo, I could show you, but I didn't. And it was just gorgeous. And the nights it was like 20 degrees in the day and then like -4 at night. So it was absolutely freezing. And then you suddenly have this sunrise just from nowhere. I couldn't even, look at it. It was just so bright and beautiful. Things like that. That just stay with you, up on Crossfell when you're in the Spine. I've been so lucky with Crossfell because it could be a place that people absolutely hate, but each time I've been there, I've just had sun come out or cloud inversions, and just absolutely breathtaking views. I think I'm looking for that, and hearing sounds really like fairy, but I love hearing all the sounds of nature. It's just so different, the different seasons you race in. So like April with spring and everything, all those different sounds, just when you're feeling absolutely rubbish and then you can just hear something, birds or whatever, it just takes you, brings you back into like, oh, I'm so lucky to be here, come on. So I think that's what I look for in a race, something beautiful and spectacular.
I think we're really lucky as ultra runners as well, because I don't know, we're all parents here, and I don't know if you've ever had a situation like this, but you sort of, because you cover so much ground, so many views, so many peaks in so many different weathers, you just think, so you've had an amazing experience here. I think one of my favourites was UTS going up literally right at the start, and it was we sort of left at 4 a.m, so we caught the sunrise right at the top of Snowdon. And that's like cemented into my head. So I really want to, as a parent, I'm like, okay, so great. So we'll get all the family there one day and we'll go for a hike. And it just never pans out. Like, you see all these amazing things. You take the family there and it's raining and you've hyped it up and everyone's super excited.
Kids are crying.
Yeah, exactly. You're carrying the bikes and the bags and everyone's just upset. And it's, you can never get, like, it's weird because I'm kind of stuck now as, okay, kids, you're going to have to, if you want to experience this, you're going to have to become ultra runners, because I can't recreate this at all.
No, I've tried with mine. When you say that to me, I immediately think we did the 3 peaks, but like as a holiday each year for 3 years when my kids were younger. And I'm just thinking of like the weather we had for some of them. You have this magical feeling of you're going to go up and have these amazing views. Most of the time we're absolutely battered with wind and rain, and my kids are going, oh, I don't know why you like doing this. And I remember one specifically where he'll hate me saying this, he's 18 now, but my eldest, I think he was about 14 at the time, just threw himself in a puddle and just lay there till we went up and came back down. Just I don't know why. I always ask. I ask him, did you enjoy it in the puddle more than coming up the top? But he will hate me saying that.
Yeah, no, it's hard. Yeah, it is. You do capture the moments on the trails for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for your prep for like the 200 milers, 300k events, obviously the much, when I say long, I mean like the much longer than 100 milers. Yeah, I think I've again, I've done my research. I was listening on another pod, and I think you said at one point the Winter Downs was sort of like a gateway into races like the Spine and Northern Traverse, which I obviously was a bit of a joke, but yeah, what is your sort of prep for going into those races? Do you go and sort of try and recce them at all, or do you even study the route, or is it just a turn up and away you go?
Well, my race prep is probably not the best to follow. Life is terribly busy and hectic, and so recce's for me, like the one I did for the Spine just now, that's unheard of for me. I just finding the time to go and recce, you know, when you've got a family and animals to look after, and you're down in Devon, which seems to be far away from everywhere. It's just so difficult to get that time. And I think for that 100-mile recce, it was the girls sort of sorting it out and getting it all together that really made me go and do it. And for the Northern Traverse, I didn't recce one bit of it. I had no idea what was ahead of me, which I quite like in some ways. I used to say, well, if you recce the route, then you know what's coming, and none of it's new and exciting. So I quite like turning up and thinking, well, what am I going to see? It's all brand new. But I also saw the other side of it with the Spine. Obviously, I'd done it before, but going back there and creating new memories with the girls, you know, when I was having some dark times, I thought about us along this particular track, and we were all singing and being silly. And it took me out of my little hole at the time. So yeah, my prep is not great. And I can't lie about that. I will look into it as much as I can, but sometimes I do turn up and I'm like, okay, so this is where we start. And this is how many checkpoints are there?
You must be good at reading you must be good at navigating on your watch though too. There must be an element of
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm useless at navigating, and I sound useless at everything, don't I? So I have the route firmly on my watch. And I don't, you know, I don't tend to worry too much about if I don't know where I'm going, because you have it here, and it would be nice. It'd be lovely if I could recce every race I do. Yes, it would be nice to have that confidence, and I totally get it, especially if you're going to go out and you're looking for the win, and you know you want to know exactly where everything is and take the quickest line or whatever. But it's not very me. I'm unorganized, and
I'm really glad to hear this. This is I'm famously disorganised. I've never looked at the route. Sometimes I don't even know where the start is. So
next I was going to be saying that.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because honestly, your stunned silence, I was thinking, oh God.
I might sign up for 200 miles. It's inspiring me to get out there.
Rob's preparation for 100 miles to go out and pack a fizzy bangs.
Yeah. I mean, my worst. I also don't. A lot of people go out and will like run, you know, train by doing a 26-mile run to train for a marathon sort of thing, and that's the sort of thing I do. I think I've done the Serpentine before, so I swam the distance of the Serpentine the day before the Serpentine, thinking that was going to help.
Sorry, he didn't have a wetsuit, so he bought a wetsuit which was age.
Oh yeah, it was a youth medium from Argos, because I wasn't. Yeah,
and he's 6'4".
I wasn't prepared at all, and I think I did this at the North Downs Way as well. I had no idea. In fact, I missed the alarm. Had no idea where the start was. Didn't know where to park. Had barely any kit. So
I love that.
You're not alone, Rob.
No, so I'm really pleased to hear this. This is great.
That's the way.
Yeah. I guess moving on to kit, which hopefully you've got. do you have any key pieces of kit or strategy that you rely on for sleep deprivation or the cold conditions? I think you said obviously the difference in temperature during the day and the night on the Northern Traverse was quite a lot, so that's obviously needing to a bit of thinking about.
Definitely. I love a puffer jacket. Obviously, I'm fortunate to be to have the help of Innovate, so I had a vast array of lovely kit that I could rely on, and I can't bear being cold. I really can't bear being cold. So I'm probably something that I am prepared on is cold conditions. So I thought I was being a bit nuts for the Northern Traverse because I'd seen what the weather was going to be like, and no idea though that it was going to be so cold at night. And yeah, I still took so much stuff with me just in case. Thank God, because I had at night time, I had 2 big puffer coats on and base layer, mid layer, over layer. So like had 5, 6
wow.
layers on, and I was still feeling the cold. Like I was just okay. And I have my thick gloves that I wear for the spine, you know, when it's like snowy conditions. I had those on. It was just so cold. And everybody was saying it. And I think what was really hard as well was when you got into checkpoints, a lot of them were in tents. So you didn't get that sort of, walking into a nice warm room and warming up. It was still like really, really, really cold. So yeah, I look forward to that relief, you know, where you almost get too hot somewhere and then it's quite nice to go back out again. Whereas this was like, I'm so cold. Somebody gave me a hot water bottle, one of the marshals at one point, just so that I could try and get really, really hot to go out again. So yeah, for me, having a puffer coat, I had, like I say, I had 2. I had one in emergency kit and then one in my pack. And yeah, there's these hybrid jackets which are Innovate do, which are just, they're like sort of woolly on the inside, and yeah, they're just so good for letting heat out, although I didn't have much heat to go out, to be honest. So yeah, layering up, layer, and yeah, and a good windproof always.
I need to look into this because I think going
The whole kit thing.
I need to look into kit. I should take some at some point. Yeah, it's on the Optim 100 as well. Hopefully James Elson doesn't listen to this because I don't know how they let me run that. Because I literally just have one of these in my bag, and it was really, really cold at night.
Oh my God, were you okay?
Just about. I did take a pair of ski gloves with me, so again, it's just my standard stuff. My God. I think it's a parent thing because you always have to carry so much stuff for the kids that when you're running, I just go minimal. So I'm either wearing it or not using it. So yeah, I don't know. This I've said it before. I don't know how I would do something like the spine because I just don't want to take all the stuff that you need.
Yeah, it is annoying. I give you that, but it's very useful. But it's that, you know.
I just want to clarify. I also don't want to die as well. So yeah, I know.
No. And I think I would die if I didn't have that stuff with me. Honestly, I just really feel it. And like I say, when we were out on the Northern Traverse, the men, and it wasn't just me, pathetic me. The men were just like, "Oh my God, it's so cold." And when we tried to sleep, me and 3 other guys tried to sleep on the side of the trail at night at one point, just have a 10-minute nap. I just wasn't worth it, to be honest. It was just too cold. So yeah, layers, I say.
Layers. Okay, right. So we always play a game of truth or lie with everybody that we talk to. So have you been able to prepare maybe 2 or 3 statements which are either true or they could be a lie, and we need to ask you questions and then decide whether we think it's true or a lie?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so if you could give us your first statement, and then we'll ask some questions, and then we'll sort of individually say whether we think it's true or whether we think it's a lie.
Okay. I once starred in a BBC drama.
Oh, strong. Yeah.
BBC drama.
Well, first question, what was the drama?
It was called The Vet, and I starred as a horse rider. and had an accident and was in a coma in hospital.
Oh my gosh. So, do you also a stunt woman?
I'm not a stunt woman, no.
Oh,
How long ago was this?
But I did have a stunt double. This was
Oh,
when I was
wow.
15.
I'm locking in already.
hold on, a stunt double. So was this an actual? So let's say it's true, and on the drama, have you actually had an accident, or did you have to have the accident and then recreate the accident?
Yeah, the accident happened, and I did a tiny bit of it. But whilst the proper accident happened, there was a stunt double being
Was
me.
an animal casualty or something when?
Yeah, this was it was an animal casualty that got hit by a car. I went plummeting to near death.
Right, I'm locking in. It's an early one for me, I know. Any other questions?
No, I'm gonna look in. I just really want to see it now. I hope it's true. I'm gonna go true just because I want the link on YouTube.
I'm going to because Laura's an awesome rider. The vets
Well, that's a bit of an insult. An awesome rider that fell off the
horses, and I think that I feel like a vet series is going to be filmed somewhere like Devon.
Well, the county of the country. Okay, well, just to be different, I'm going to say false then. So, is it true?
Should we do the other ones first and we come back to it? 'Cause it might be them being.
You always want to do this, so let's do it. You
Okay,
do this.
okay.
Every episode, let's get Sarah. She's just won the South Downs by 50. It's not another way.
She can do what she wants.
Right, next one.
I won a talent competition dressed as a cow.
Real animal things coming through there.
What was the talent competition?
It's a holiday club that my mum took me and my sister and a friend to, and we decided that we would do. There was an advert about I can't even remember what the advert was for, but it was like, we are lucky cows and we chew the cud and something or other. I thought we'd do this lovely song. We all dressed up in bin bags. It was really inventive and put little spots on us. And
It's a lot of detail. A lot of detail.
I don't know if I can go with true on this unless I hear the song.
No, I can't. You don't want to hear my voice.
Well, I feel like because I went false on the last one, I'm gonna go true on this one.
I'm going false.
Dressed as a cow. Yeah, I'm gonna go true again. True.
Okay. Is there a third one? Not that there needs to be.
Okay, yeah, there is a third one.
Oh, exciting.
I can speak. I can speak 3 different languages.
Oh my goodness. What languages are they?
French, Spanish, and English.
Well,
I think the husband.
yeah, I'm pretty sure your husband's French, isn't he?
He is.
So, I mean, that might make sense.
Have you learned any languages whilst running ultras? That seems to be a bit of a thing.
No. I used to live in Lanzarote, so spare Spanish would come from.
Locking in.
I'm going true on that one.
I'm going true.
Yeah, I'm going true. So I've gone
I think you write
false
down.
true. Oh,
It gets competitive, Laura.
I've gone false. I've gone false true.
I've
Sarah.
gone true, false, true.
True, false, true, Rob.
He's gone true, true.
I'm gonna go true. These all sound true, but I reckon you'd thrown a spanner in the works. So I'm gonna go false on that one.
Okay, right. Now, statement number 1. Is it true or is it false?
It is true.
Brilliant.
Is this on YouTube?
I hope you never find it, and I can't believe that I was so...
Okay.
The best.
I mean,
I
actually got the okay.
Yeah,
No.
just
Yeah,
so you know, he will absolutely find it. Okay.
Oh, honestly, it's something I just cringe if I see it. And I said to my husband, I can't believe I'm going to say this one, but it's a good one to put out there. But yeah, it's so embarrassing.
Has he seen it?
Yes, and it's so
It's
embarrassing.
available somewhere.
Yeah, well,
I apologise now, Laura.
So you did
my mum
acting,
had it on VHS, so you know of it.
did acting form part of your childhood then?
It did. And it's funny because I would not describe myself as very confident at all. In fact, I'm really quite shy. And but I don't know why when I was younger I wanted to be an actress. That is what I wanted to do. So yeah, I did get this role in this BBC drama, and it was such an exciting time. But yeah, then I realised how scared I am of being in front of the camera, and it soon ended.
Okay, statement number 2.
That was true.
Hi.
Back in the game.
Oh.
Oh, I think
Sorry.
I thought you were going to say your friend, like sometimes it's like, it's a curveball, it's your friend or sister won the competition, but yeah, well done.
No, it was all of us. How on earth we won it? It was dreadful. I just don't think anybody else entered it. So yeah, we won another holiday, but
Wow.
it was awful.
All right, so I think...
Can I change my answer now?
No.
Okay, we'll see what is the third statement.
Well, it's false, and that's my curveball because I am married to a French man and I can't speak French, and I was dreading you asking me to speak it.
Oh yeah, what else you don't French?
He won because he is French.
I just thought it would be too harsh
Yeah.
to ask.
Father.
Just
So, Robert wins. Rob, you got all 3.
well,
It's never happened.
Hey.
This sort of makes up for you not running the South Downs Way 50 yesterday.
I don't. I mean, when it was only a dig there, it's not big. I didn't get in. It was just the fans haven't got. What are they doing? Haven't got a South Downs Way. This. He's the only player on the body. I hasn't got it. So.
We've got like a domestic going on here. I'm going to...
Be friends.
Right, I'm moving on to tails. So, Laura, with all your epic races, whether it's the Spine, Winter Downs 200, Northern Traverse, what does your training look like, and how far out do you start building? And I know the Northern Traverse one you can't really put into the loop because it was so close to the Spine, but certainly with the Spine and like with the longer distances, how does your plan look? And I guess the other question is, how good are you? Your strength training, is it all the extra stuff too? Be honest.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm always training towards, even if I didn't have a long race, I would have structure, and I need that structure and training. I need miles per week. So it's just Kim really gives me more hill work, more sort of speed sessions, and then getting those longer actually hikes. He gives me quite a few sort of, I don't know, I've had 7 or 8 hour hikes to do over weekends, just to get that time on your feet in, and really, like I say, I'm always training, but I'd say 12-16 weeks before, something like that. But really, we just have to build on what I'm already doing, because I think the last few years I've always been leading to something like 100-miler, and it's just you just have to adapt your 100-mile training a little bit. It's not actually hugely different. What was different this time round for the Spine was actually trying to go to the gym and do some strength work, which I don't really like doing, I have to admit. I like running. That's what I like doing. I'm a one-trick pony. And so to try and make myself go to the gym, I find really irritating. But yeah, it definitely helped me. I only go, because of time, just once a week, and just do some weights for my back, because the backpack absolutely kills me on the Spine. So yeah, that's kind of what my training looks like. Like I say, just adding in some, really a lot of hill. And treadmill. That's the other thing I did differently. I got myself a treadmill off Marketplace, because hills around here they just aren't. I haven't got any long hills close by. I think everybody thinks Devon is hilly, but it's not hilly enough really compared to the lakes or what you face on the Spine or the Northern Traverse. So So Kim's been giving me some really delightful, like 10, 15 minutes going up on the treadmill.
How do you find the
Session.
treadmill from someone who loves the trails? How do you find the treadmill?
Do you know, I thought I'd hate it, but I actually quite like it for the structure. I find it really frustrating trying to find a hill long enough.
Yeah.
And at least I know once I get on that, I'm set. That's what I've got to do. I've got my distance or my time. I'm going up. I've got 10%. That's what it goes up to. And I just have to plug in and go. So, yeah, it's quite good mental training as well, I think.
Yeah. I'm always a bit not sure about treadmills, but you're right. It's there and it gets done and you can choose the elevation. And as long as you vary it with the side, it's, yeah.
And it's consistent, isn't it?
The steppers are quite a big thing at the moment too, aren't they?
Oh yes, that's the other thing. So I do I hate the gym. So I do my session at the gym, and I know it's good. So I'm not saying it's bad by saying I hate it. It's just something I find a real chore. So I do my weights and everything, and then I'd go on the stepper for 30 minutes at the end. And I think that's so good for your mind, because I don't put any music on or anything, and just try and make myself focus.
Oh, that's very disciplined. I'm not sure I could manage that.
I suppose if you can get through 260 odd miles of the spine, you can get through 30 or 40 minutes of the stepper, can't you?
Yes, yeah.
At a time, and this is exactly the same when I'm on a treadmill in the gym. I just think to myself, within 4 minutes, I go, oh my God, this is mind-numbingly.
Yes, it is, isn't it? I love it because there's a Zumba class that goes on right in front of me, so I just watch them.
Oh, I love it.
That's where you can get through it, is if you've got the mirrors in front of you and you can just spend your whole time just looking around what's going on and people watching.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about doing the strength work as well as part of your training. Do you think it has a big part in, touch wood, staying injury free with the volume of miles that you're doing a week? Is there
yeah, I'm sure that helps, and I think I should do more of it if I'm honest. But like I said, I really find it annoying. But it has definitely helped me. So the spine that I didn't finish was all but, like, my back just completely went. And this spine, I had a better pack. I packed it better. It was slightly lighter, but I know that I felt stronger. I had that confidence in my body, and I think it's part of the process, isn't it? If you want to keep strong and you want to keep, injury free, then a bit of strength work. I don't think it has to be loads, but I think it definitely helps.
Yeah. And you mentioned about seeing a physio. Do you see a physio fairly regularly to sort of keep things in check? As to how things are?
I have been rubbish with that as well. I'm getting better. But yeah, I think having all these, having the spine and then having the Northern Traverse, I've been seeing Jo. I've been much more disciplined about seeing her. She's so good and I trust her. I just know if I go to see her, she will be honest with me. She knows straight away if I say what's hurting. She knows what she's looking for. She's so thorough. Being a runner herself, I do rely on her quite a lot, and I can message her as well if something's niggling me and just say she's given me, I think that's a big part of it, with your strength training, actually having some exercises from the physio that I keep on top of. I
do think it's hard when you've got like a busy life, mum, working, animals in your case, but like making that a priority. I think it's very easy just to go, oh well, but to make it a priority, it's really important for our own sort of self-care and what we're putting our body through.
And I hate to say it, this is a statement I don't like, but with aging now, I know that you're more prone to injury, aren't you? I turned 45 just before the Northern Traverse, and I just think I've just got to be more aware. And Kim is the same age as me, so it's quite good. I know he's more aware of that aging process, and we have to look after our bodies. They do amazing things for us, don't they? So I as soon as I finished the Northern Traverse, I booked in with Jo. That's something I would never normally do, but I'm seeing her next week just to check check over, and when I get back to running, then I want to know that I'm not going to injure, because if I'm injured, I will be nobody wants to be around me.
Yeah.
So I need to stay injury free.
Yeah, no, I understand. And not being able to run. He's injured at the moment. I'm trying to choose my words carefully as to what
God.
to say.
Honestly, it's fine. Don't mind.
Sorry.
Yes, I am. I can empathise now on the frustration.
Can you empathise? It's alive recently. It's been like more. Looking after the kids.
Anyway, let's move on. So training through the winter. We also did a big training block for my arc through the winter.
I've done training block after training block with no event.
What keeps you motivated to train, especially through the winter when it's dark and wet and cold?
I find it annoyingly easy to train, because I think, Sarah, you're going to agree with me, but if all I have to think is, I don't feel like this, it's so crap out there, and then I just have to think, but how are you going to feel if you don't go? And it's just a no-brainer. I will be awful to live with, and I will hate myself. So it's really, it's never questioned. I just will always go and do what I've got set to do. So
you get up and out with all your other commitments. Is it an up and out early for you, or can you squeeze it in the middle of the day, or is it?
I do a lot of run commuting, so I'm fortunate that work is it's only 3.5 miles away, but I can adapt. I can make it longer really easily. I can run to the ponies, then run to work. So I do a lot of running to and from things, and running to work is just great, because I never used to live so close to work, and I always had to drive quite a way back from work, and then fit in a run, and then the kids, and they were younger then as well. So now it's just, I really begrudge driving to work, actually, which I'm having to do at the moment, because I just think, I don't like to waste those miles or sit in traffic, when I could just be running. So that's been a real help to fit the miles in. And I've always been like, if we're going out for the day, I might get my husband to drive the kids, and then I'll run there and fit it in that way.
I definitely understand and empathise about what it says must happen.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Although you always round up, I've noticed. If your training plan says 8 to 12 miles, Sarah will just be like, so it's 12 miles tomorrow, is it? I was like, no, it doesn't say 12 miles, it's 8 to 12 miles.
Yeah. I reckon
you can't do that. Yeah, you can't do 8 to 12. It needs to be 10 then. Exact, specific.
Yeah. To be fair, I do sort of. Yeah. What does 8 to 12 actually mean?
12.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'd say.
Right, Rob, do you want to go on to the next bit, which is about fails? Yeah. There's one in here. I wanted to add one in, which I guess I could just start with. But obviously, it kind of criticises people's parenting. So if you have an answer, that's absolutely fine. I was just thinking while I was running this morning, what's after a long run, 100 mile or whatever, what is the laziest bit of parenting you've done the following day?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm actually quite lucky in that. Well, that sounds really awful to say I'm lucky. I'm not lucky that I'm not with the kids' dad, but I'm not with the kids' dad. So often when I'm racing, I will choose races that aren't when the kids are with their dad. So when I get back, I can be really lazy. But this time, it's the Easter holidays, and I really wanted to make sure I got to see the kids lots. So after the Northern Traverse, now, and they're older as well, this is a good bit of lazy parenting, actually. I got the kids to come back early from their dads so that they could look after all the animals for me, and I didn't actually pay anyone to do them. So they get Here we go. Yeah, so having an 18, 16 and 14-year-old now, they can sort of really help out. So they were here for the first time on their own, like cooking themselves dinner and looking after all the animals for me. And I said, oh, I'll be fine tomorrow. We'll do something really nice. And no, I managed a bath and
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think that's lazy parents. Well, I think we've had a Bluey marathon after the North Downs Way where I was supposed to take them out. You actually did, didn't you? Didn't you run the entire North Downs Way and then have to get home for like a ballet?
No, that was the Autumn 100.
Yeah.
The Autumn 100,
I had a 100-mile event and it was like, well, I really need to be around for 7 because I've got to get the kids to the clubs.
Oh my God.
My parenting fail was that I then slept through when my friend was at the door, and I was like, "Oh, go out!" And she was at the door, and I was like feeling really sick, and yeah, so that would be my parenting fail on that.
Oh, poor you.
I am quite lucky. Kate does look after me after a 100-miler. Anything less than a 100-miler, and it's just get up and shut up and get on with it. But 100-miler is that's why I like doing them because I just get to do whatever I want the day after. Just lounge around.
I do like that feeling. I did say just recently, I was like, this is what it's all about. With a beer in my hand in front of the fire.
Can't walk, but this is fine.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's get on to actual ultra parenting. So, obviously, we just emphasising everyone's parenting. So, yeah, have there been any moments during any of your runs where you just genuinely felt like you're not going to finish this? Obviously, we've spoken about the spine where your back went.
Yes, that was, I just knew. And I've had 2 DNFs, and actually both have been my back. But that was just a horrid realization, because all the training that goes in for that race, and obviously throughout winter as well, as much as we say we can always get out the door, it's obviously harder to get out the door and then go for those like 6-7 hour sessions. And it's just, you get to that start line and you're like, right, I've worked so hard for this and I'm ready for this. And I'd actually worked on my back because it let me down the first time I did the spine as well, and I had to hike the last 168 miles. I couldn't run at all, so I'd really worked on my back for that. But I think we'd overtrained. I look back and I think I'd just done too much, and I turned up on that start line knackered, and I got I think it was only 60 miles in, and I was like, God, I can feel my back already. And then I carried on and I got to Malham Tarn, and I just thought that's like 80 around there, and I just thought, I just knew. I was looking around, and it's the bit where Harry Potter is filmed, and I just thought, I'm not going to complete this. And it's so not me to think that, but I just knew that I didn't have that in me. My back was absolute agony. And it's a horrible, horrible feeling. And I got into it's a mini checkpoint, and one of the medics she couldn't even run her finger on my back. It was just too painful. And I was saying, I'll just try and go out. And she said, if I can't run my finger on your back, how are you going to put this heavy backpack on your back and go for another sort of 200, just under 200 miles? And I just knew, and that's horrible, horrible.
Really tough.
And then when you've got that race and it goes on for like a whole week and you have to watch it every day, and you're like, oh. That stayed with me a long time, that DNF.
Do you think that fuels you to try and maximise you being successful for future events?
It definitely had a positive impact on me. It definitely did. After I got over, I think as runners we can be really hard on ourselves, and I was definitely really hard on myself, and I really got quite depressed, I'd say, after that, which sounds ridiculous, I know, because it is just a race, but I really got down. And Elaine Bisson, who is she runs the spine a lot, she'd had a DNF as well, she's so successful and such a good runner. And we took comfort in each other. Actually, we were messaging and supporting each other a lot. We didn't know each other that well before then. So that was a really nice thing to take from it. Us supporting each other, and we both felt the same. We were both having a go at ourselves, and you really say how crap you are, and actually sometimes these things happen. Sometimes your body doesn't hold out. Sometimes you get it wrong. With a race of that enormity, not everything can always go right. So it's taught me that, but it also taught me, don't overtrain. It's better to be undertrained, I think, than to be overtrained. If you're going to be, obviously it's better to be in the middle, but if you're going to be either of those, I'd rather turn up feeling fresh and ready to go than feeling like I was just knackered. I think I was busy at work. I was doing 18 miles on a work day as well, like doing all these little commutes. It was just too much. And then I was putting like a massive weight in my pack, like every run, to try and strengthen my back. And I think it had the negative effect. But yeah, so now I've really learned from that. And I have to say, every time I'm hitting a dark point in a long race, which inevitably happens, I always think, if ever I think, oh, I'm just done with this now, I will always think of how I felt for those 3-4 months after that DNF, and it soon picks me up and gets me going again, because I don't want to feel like that again.
Yeah. Motivation.
Yeah, I think you made quite a lot of good points as well with sort of all the other bits and pieces that are going on, because I think until you've had a DNF or you've had to drop out, because we've spoken to a few people and they've sort of, I mean, even you were saying on the arc, like, you make a really good point, because until you've had that DNF and you've learned from it and you genuinely can tell yourself, I can't continue. Like, I think my mentality at the moment would be actually really selfish of going back out there, attempting the 200 miles and potentially being dangerous to other runners or putting other people in danger. But yeah,
what are you going to be doing when you're running around?
On the spot, I'll just be lost or slowly. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you can push through. A lot. I think you were saying, obviously, there's a massive distance between you and the next checkpoint, and going out is just a bad move for everybody involved.
I think if it's I think if it's just mentally you're just not feeling it, or you're like, can I do it? Like, I think if the body's fine, crack on. But I think I was genuinely injured, so it's like, I can't walk properly, and I've got like a 5.5 hour stretch if I'm on my game, which is actually going to be like 9 hours. So I
feel like runners probably need a proper DNF to actually learn that lesson, because you mentioned about overtraining as well, and it's almost like weightlifting, where you just got to keep going heavier and heavier and heavier, and it's kind of what's the point? At some point you're just going to be ridiculously too big and look stupid, so like you just have to actually take a step back and
be smarter about
it. Because I still think I'm in that phase. Just to clarify, I'm in that phase of stupid training. Because I know you say we're doing 70 miles a week, and then you've got, and I keep making stupid promises to the family, like, we'll do 70 miles a week, and then we'll go out, like, and then we'll go out on the bikes, and we'll do all of this stuff, and by the end of it, you're knackered, you're annoying everybody, and you've injured yourself. So
Yeah, my husband was saying to me at the time, he was like, you're doing too much. You're doing way too much. Like, you're knackered. And it's not Kim's fault, because I wasn't telling Kim. I was just like, everything's fine. I'm doing everything on my plan, and I'm feeling great. Because I feel like I'm failing if I don't keep up with what's on my plan. So I was like, I'm fine. But really, I remember just getting out for every run being like, oh, I feel rubbish. And
I think you make a really good point there about what you said, Laura, about failing if you don't follow your plan, because I am the same, and it's such it's a mentality that I need to shift in my head. But I tease myself, and I say I'm so literal, as in like what it says. There's no wiggle room, but and we're not. Of course, it's not a fail, but it is that feeling of not achieving it.
Yeah. You think you're failing. I have actually, if this is any hope for you, I've got much, much better, I think, actually, since that as well. And I've moved from looking at miles to more looking at time, which was what Kim wanted me to do. So he knows, I've been with him for like 5 years, and he knows I've got this obsession with like always hitting 70 miles a week. And actually the lead up to this race and the spine, I couldn't tell you how many miles properly. I know that there was about 3, because I went back and looked, there were about 3 weeks where I was hitting over sort of 70. The weekend with the girls, I was like 90, because that was a big week. Yeah. But before that, I realized I had no idea how many miles a week I was doing, which is much better, because I'm not any different. I'm not any less trained or any less of an athlete, or you know. So, but I feel more fresh. I don't feel quite as knackered as I used to.
For you, sorry.
I think if you're a road runner or you're marathon training, miles is fine. And I know a lot of people do use miles, so I'm not saying it's not relevant, but I feel there are so many variables with terrain types, elevation, which means that if you're doing 25 miles of relatively flat training, it's going to take you 4 hours potentially. And if you're going to go and do 25 miles of spine training or UTMB training where you want to do 5,000 feet, that's going to be 6 hours. So like if you're running off of distance, if you're running off of distance, that's like a difference of 2 hours.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like,
that's what Kim was saying to me. He said, you can't, I don't want you going for 20 miles on the trail. I just want you to have like 4 hours on your feet, so it's such a different thing, like trail to road. That's why he'll go out for an hour today, or do 4 or 5 hours today. And it is a good shift in the head. And like I say, it's not like anything's changed for me. Nothing's changed. I'm not failing now that I've stopped looking at doing 70 miles per week every week.
I think that's a really good, we haven't discussed that before. I think that's a really good, no, it's in like on the podcast, it's in like, not you failing, but it's in like, as a failing concept.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, I was listening to what Robbie Britton was saying on a Centurion podcast, which was, he was saying like, as well as the working on time and just trying to be more sort of present in your surroundings, putting yourself under a lot less pressure to be hitting distance, also like removing pace from your watch as well is really, really helpful in not becoming fixated on a metric, because obviously the danger of then doing distance as well is that you're actually still always looking at your watch and going, oh my god, I ran that mile in like 10:30, and then sort of starting to beat yourself up about running slower than you might want to.
Yes.
Do you tend to always look down at the watch, or do you go off like perceived exertion?
That is something I got rid of a while ago, actually. I have no idea what my pace is whenever I go out, and it's so refreshing, because it's something I was completely obsessed with when I was a road runner doing these half marathons. I was always like, what pace am I doing? And I have no idea what I'm doing, so I really do go off like how I'm. Oh, sorry, it's my husband in the background. He's really distracted me now. But I really don't. I just don't ever look at pace. For me, it's just it's pointless. I need to know how I'm feeling in myself and what my perceived exertion is. That's not gonna, like, how fast I'm going. It's not gonna tell me that.
Yeah, thanks. So
I think we might have just accidentally unpacked what 8 to 12 miles is on there for.
8 to 12 miles.
It did actually.
So shall we move on to quickfire? Sorry, I had alarms on my phone for my whole entire life, and it's just gone off. So,
what have you forgotten to do?
I'm basically going to ask you about 9 questions, and just short answers, nice and concise. And Sarah, I think you can start us off.
Okay, ready?
God, I'm scared. Okay.
I'm doing me together. Fun questions. Okay. Hallucination highlight from the Spain or Northern Traverse?
Or Spain, maybe? Spain?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Did that even hallucinations in living Lanzarote? It's quite.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Let's start that again. I bet Max didn't even take that out of the edited version. Oh god.
Don't.
Right, let's start again. Ready? Around. Laura, hallucination highlight from the Spine or Northern Traverse?
Well, not a hallucination as such, but I just thought I was buying a field with my daughter and didn't think I was actually on a race. I was convinced I was buying a field. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. Thank you for such a quick answer. Let's move on. Go. Thanks, Max.
Go-to training snack.
Oh, God. I'm so useless at eating snacks. Skittles.
What'd you say?
Skittles. Oh,
Yay!
Favourite race ever?
Oh, my God, that's so difficult. Oh, it's supposed to be quick. The spine. The winter
Yeah.
spine.
Dream event still on the list.
I'd love to do the Western States. That's
Yeah.
so boring, but I'd love to do the Western
Seems to be
States.
everybody's answer.
Yeah.
Favourite bit of kit? Oh, I think you've actually answered that already. Puffer?
Yeah, my puffer on my hybrid jacket.
No.
Music, podcasts, or silence for long runs?
Oh,
Silence.
really? Oh gosh. I couldn't do that. Advice advice you'd give your younger self before your first 100-miler.
Believe in yourself because you just won't believe what your body can do and is capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do way more than you'd ever imagine.
Favourite post-race meal?
Or chips. A vegan burger and chips. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Strong.
If you could only race in one weather condition, I don't know why I completely read that wrong. If you could only race in one weather condition for the rest of your life, hot or cold, what would it be?
Hot, hot, hot.
Oh, that surprises me. I thought you might say cold with
The layer she's wearing.
yeah.
I'm going to have one on as well because I'm interested. So, as an animal lover, what's
Yes.
the weirdest interaction you've had with an animal whilst running?
Oh my goodness. Well, I talk to them all. I like to say things like, I'm vegan, I'm your friend. That's what happens when I get sleep deprived. We just have little random conversations. But I've had weird interactions. I believe that actually they're interactions with things that aren't there. So I've seen multiple frogs when out on one of these long stints. Many frogs.
Is a weird. It comes up a lot. I saw it was only on the Surrey half, but I was running and I kept telling everyone I could see squashed frogs.
Oh, really? How strange.
But nobody else said that. They were like, there was no squashed frogs, and it's in the middle of Surrey. So
Season and a half.
That's really weird.
Is this several years ago?
It was never proven that there were any frogs harmed during that race.
What did you do to them?
Yeah.
I did once have a buzzard try to take my hat as well. There you go. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I was pounced on by two badgers, and that was about a year ago.
Oh,
Yeah, they came.
cheers.
Yeah, I was running through like a field full of corn, and they just sort of jumped out onto. There was like a very narrow trail through the corn, and then they just jumped out, made a weird noise, and then ran off.
Wow.
So I'm
That's quite
sure that
nice.
happened.
I'd love to see a badger.
Oh, there's loads around here.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to the end of the quick fire round and also the episode. Laura, thank you so much for coming on and taking time out of parenting and being around family on a Sunday and so close to the Northern Traverse as well. We've absolutely loved
Pleasure.
it.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Real
it's been a
pleasure.
really good chat. Sorry to end it on squash frogs.
Injured.
That was fun.
Oh, good luck with the recovery.
Oh, one thing we haven't asked is, are you able to share, and it could be too soon, considering the 2 events you've just done, are you able to share anything which is up and coming later in the year or for 2026?
Well, do you know what you mean? Races I'm going to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, not house extensions or anything like that. Yeah, races would be great.
I'm really unsure of what's next. I'm rethinking what I had planned. So I don't know what's coming. I know that next year I want to do race across Scotland, so that's definitely something I want to do. But the rest of the year, I'm just sorting out in my mind. I was meant to be doing Lakeland 100, but I've just run through the lakes, and I just don't know. I think it has to be. You have to really want it, and I don't know if I want that enough to do it to go back to the lakes again at the moment. So I'm just undecided. It's got to be right, I think. Otherwise, you won't enjoy it, will you? So
Oh well, good luck making that decision. I hope you do it.
Unsure.
Well, thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you.
Great chatting.
Thank you.
Bye.